At 11%, it won't make no difference.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you for coming out. We'll get right into it. We do have from 6 o'clock to 6:30. Just quick notes, the bathrooms are right out front. Food and refreshments continue to keep going back and forth, definitely. If it gets too hot, let me know. We can.
Don't worry about her, please.
Let me know, we can adjust the AC or whatever needs to be. So my name is Damon Holland, Homes team, Kelly McCarthy from Lending Path. Lending Path, loan, she's also a loan originator. So finance questions, anything money-wise, she's the one to ask, definitely. Also in the bathroom, computers, we have Jennifer Colson, our home team.
Hello.
And also Cassidy String, our home team. So again, this is a buyer seminar. I'm going to talk about the 10 steps to home buy, all your questions answered, and how to get you ready to purchase a home. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to turn it over because first thing we're going to talk about is finances. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to Kelly, and she's going to definitely get you started on that.
You have finances in mind.
Yes.
So, does anybody know anything about, or heard any rumors enough to be dangerous about the mortgage process and how scary it is?
Just heard that it's going to be harder to purchase a home. I haven't heard anything else about that.
It's not.
It's not because they recite the interest rate and all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the interest rates are on the rise, but it's okay. What comes up must come down. So what you want to really do is you want to make sure that you budget properly, right? So if you're paying rent now at $1,000 a month, and that works for you, and you're able to put food on the table, and you're able to do a couple of fun things that you like to do every month, then stick to that $1,000 a month, okay? We can go higher or lower, but we really want to start at what's a good budget, okay? When we talk about the debt to income ratio, which is all part of your budget, so this is how, generally speaking, we work. For every $1,000 in a month you make, no more than $450 of that can come out of your monthly expenses. Those monthly expenses are car payments, credit cards, any kind of installment loan, rent-a-center, whatever you've got. So that is something, including your home, what you're gonna pay monthly for your mortgage, okay? And again, that's generally speaking. If you have a good credit profile, that's been around for a little while, you've got a higher credit score, then we can potentially take that up to 50, 53, 55, okay? So there's a couple of things that matter in all that. If nothing, unfortunately, in our job is black and white, except for the numbers, right? Like when I'm doing numbers on rates and stuff, those are the only numbers that are really black and white. So just make sure you budget, make sure you want to talk about a comfortable monthly payment, and those are your two really important things when it talks about money. Does anybody have any questions on how any of that works? That's easy. Yeah.
You're saying, the monthly budget that we should only be spending is that $1,000?
No, you spend whatever you feel comfortable with. I was just using as an example. I mean, rents today are really a lot more than $1,000. I mean, last time I did this was pre-COVID, and $1,000 was fair, right? $1,000 isn't really fair anymore. It's more like 15, right? But what you want to do is you just want to make sure that you are comfortable with that monthly mortgage payment that you have to pay to the mortgage company every single month. And that mortgage payment is going to include your taxes and your insurance, okay? So if property taxes, and I like to use easy numbers, right? They're not necessarily realistic numbers, but they're easy numbers. So if taxes on the property are $3,600 a year, that's $300 a month. So what they do is they just take that number divided by 12 and add it to your payment. Okay? They do this, you'll do the same thing with insurance. If your insurance is $1,200 a month, you divide that by 12, that's 100. So that example is, there's $400 already added into your monthly mortgage payment for taxes and insurance. Make sense? But you do what you're comfortable with, and I'll give you cards, my information's in the bucket. If you have any questions, you want my email, anything at all, you just reach out and I'll clarify some of that for you if you want to get a little bit more personal about it, you know? I'm here to help, but that's kind of how you remember that you have to add those things into your monthly mortgage payment, okay? And if you're putting down less than 20% or you're an FHA loan, then we have mortgage insurance and other numbers that go into that. Is anybody a veteran here? Thank you for your service. What branch of the military were you in?
Air Force.
My daddy's a retired Air Force.
All right.
Okay, so any questions on any of this? Perfect. How do we move on? Oh, boy. Now, it's never too early to get pre-approved. Okay? So if you said, you know what, I really don't want to buy a house until November, you want to start now. And the reason why you want to start now is you want to know where you are. I have been doing this for 20 years, and not all credit is accurate. Okay, I mean, I just had a conversation with a woman who's in Columbia. She wanted to do a refinance, and I pulled her credit, and there was a collection on there. She's like, I don't even know what that is. I gave her advice and told her what to do, and guess what? Unfortunately, it was fraud. So not all credit is accurate, and this is brand. I mean, I just talked about it on Monday, maybe Tuesday. So the good news is we caught it early because we looked, and it's already in the works to get it all fixed and get off credit. We may need to bump you up a little bit, right? You may have a credit score that is in the mid 600s, and we want to boost you up to get the higher your credit score, the better your rate, right? So if we can start today and find out that your credit score is a 680, but we know that we can get you a really better rate at 720, and that's a doable thing, then we work on that for the next few months. Does that make sense? What's really important is if you do say, I'm not ready to buy now, I want to buy, in November, I want to buy next January or whatever, you don't do anything crazy without talking to your realtor person first, okay? Or your realtor to say, if you've got to buy a car, you've got to buy a car, but let's talk about that, right? Let's say, your car broke and I'm looking at a car that's got a $600 a month payment, and your old payment is $400. If you're now going to do new budget comes out, there's a lot of them. Your new car payment is going to be $600. That's going to go back to slide one. That's going to change your budget, right? It's going to change your debt to income ratio, and it's something you need to talk about. Does that make sense? Because what we talked about a month ago, now that you have to buy your car because whatever happened, then you got to have that next conversation about the financials and feeling and doing what you do. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you have any other questions on that? I will tell you on your credit, what's really important about credit is that it's not all new, and that you keep your credit card balances at about 30%. So if you have a $1,000 limit, don't ever charge any more than $300 and pay that sucker off. My daughter's 23 years old. She's living on, she's a grad student. And I found out she was using a debit card, and I said to myself, Taylor, you've been living 20 years, you can talk about, credit. Why don't we learn about credit? Why don't we learn how to, do a checkbook? Why don't we learn about accounts? Why don't we learn about that in school? And what I neglected to tell you is your debit card is not always the best bet. Because if you're not paying attention to your debit card every day, and somebody gets into your bank account, that money's going to be hard to recoup. But if you've got a credit card, it's going to be a lot easier to recoup. So she said, yeah, but I don't want that high balance. I said, well, guess what? You can pay your card payment. You can pay your credit card off every single week if you want. So if you go to the grocery store and use your credit card instead of your debit card, then on Friday, when you get paid, go to the app, because that's what the young people do today, right? Go to your app, see how much you owe and pay it today. Who cares? You don't have to, just because you get billed once a month doesn't mean you can only pay it once a month. Make sense? And that actually really does help regulate it. So just so that you know, we used it like that. Okay, yeah, sorry. I get excited about credit detail. Yeah.
Okay, so is it best to pay the whole credit card off at once, because some people say only pay a certain amount to help bill, so
If you're going to use that credit card every single month, pay it off.
okay.
Because credit reports in arrears, so when I pull your credit today, that might have been a balance from last month. And it depends on when your card reports and when you roll. And so if you have a $300 balance that you want to pay off, and that's all the stuff you want to pay it off, and then you charge again, so you don't have to pay it down to 5 if you're using it regularly. If you're not using it regularly, if you're one of the people who can't trust yourself, there's plenty of those. I used to be one of them. Then just use it and you'll use it 3 or 4 times, then do keep a little balance on it. But remember, you're paying interest on that little balance. And right now, interest rates are higher on our credit cards. Just a little something. But I always try to recommend use a credit card like you use a debit card. Do your best to use your credit card like a debit card. Because while Dave Ramsey's fabulous, no credit is not really great when it comes to finance. Yes. Question.
We have a question wanting to know how much should you have in the bank?
So I always like to see in a perfect world, you're going to need enough for down payment, and that minimum down payment will be 3%. There are other programs, just so that you know, we're not going to talk about that. And you would also, in a perfect world, like to have a cushion of 2 to 3 months in minimum below your debt. But there's no real rule as to how much you have to have. Just enough to put down money and pay your costs. For a $250,000 loan, $87.50, is that 3.5%? 97, 250, 25 and 20, 25 is 2,500, 2,500, 75, 97.50, something like that. Let's call it something. Right? Closing costs on a loan of that size in a regular area, like not flood zone or anything like that, you're looking at closing costs of about $5,500. So you're probably looking at about $15,500 that you need in order to purchase a house at that price point.
Okay.
Make sense? So yes, there are many different types of loans out there. The conventional loan, there is a fix and arms are coming back, arms went away. They're coming back. A conventional loan is like I say your vanilla loan. You have a decent credit score, and I'm going to say in this market, in this rate environment of 700 or above, and you need to put down at least 3%. Anything less than 20% requires mortgage insurance. You've heard PMI, private mortgage insurance, that's what that is. There are lots of ways to skin a cat when it comes to private mortgage insurance, which we can talk about if we need to, but you don't always have to pay a monthly. There are ways that you can pay it up front, not pay it monthly, or you finance it, and there's different ways to do it. Your FHA loan is a loan that is a little bit more lenient. They take lower credit scores. Generally speaking, in most worlds, the rate's a little bit better. Right now, they're even. Those loans will come with monthly mortgage insurance, regardless of how much money you put down. So I am doing right now, for somebody doing some of it, I'm doing something that's called inclusive equity. Dad owns the house free and clear, wants to sell it to his son. He's going to sell it to his son for half the price of what it's worth, and he wants to know why he has to pay mortgage insurance. And I said, well, because he doesn't have credit score rating, and so he has to go FHA, right? So that's why he has to pay mortgage insurance. So we're working around that, we're figuring it out. Yeah.
And what's the credit score normally for FHA?
Okay, so we go,
Keep it to the beat, right?
I know. Go down, well, because it comes with caveat, right? So 580 is your minimum credit score. But, you can get it done. You can do it, see, I mean, plenty. But you're gonna get a much higher interest rate, and you're probably gonna pay discount points. You guys have heard that term before, discount points, or buy down rate, or what else do they call it? You're gonna pay to get that rate. It's gonna cost you money, which means that 15 grand we just talked about is gonna be more like 18 to 20 grand. But you can do 580. When I pull credit, unless you're being evicted from your home, I will do everything I can to help you get your credit score up to a 620 or 640. I've been in this business for 20 years. I've learned a lot of things. And fixed credit is one of them. So, I also work with a fellow who, he's very New York, but he lives here. He's a great guy. He's an attorney. He was a mortgage lender, and now he owns a credit repair company. And he's fair. And it took him 5 years to get my business, and now he knows don't mess with me, because if you mess with any of the people I send your way, we're done. So, he's fair. He'll tell you how long it's going to take. And if it's taking longer than that, he owes me an explanation. And he will go to me. Not because, just all I'm saying. USDA loan. The USDA loan has a lot of guidelines to it. It's a great loan. It's 100% financing. You have to purchase in a USDA approved area. Right now, I'm going to say Ridgeville is probably our closest area for USDA.
Ridgeville, some areas of
Okay, Rondo, I will tell you, Orangeburg is all USDA. So if you know somebody that's working at Rovo or, working up there, and they have some questions, USDA all day, every day. Yes, ma'am.
We have a question about how long do you have to pay the mortgage insurance on a conventional loan?
On a conventional loan, it'll automatically drop off at a 78% loan to value, or you can request an appraisal at any point, your own personal appraisal, and if it comes in at 80 or below, or 80, whatever, we can remove the mortgage insurance.
Okay.
FHA, as of this moment, it doesn't come on. Oh yeah, it's a lie. They just changed it. It's after 11 years. And 80%.
Okay.
But that's about the norm right now. So USDA is in a special area. So like, let's say you have a house in mind that, 123 Main Street. You can actually Google that, or of course, in New York, and you can find out if it's a USDA rural area. Now, USDA they are income based, okay? And it's household income, unless the income is a minor. Unless the other income is a minor. So if you and your spouse or partner or whatever you work, and your 16-year-old works, we don't count their income, but we will count regardless of who is on the loan, okay? So I just closed one in Orangeburg. Her mama was living with her. She took her mother in, and we had to count her mother's income in order to make sure they qualified, even though her mother was not on the loan. Okay? And if there are 1, 2, 3 people, we can get $114,000. I think. Well, and then get that in state housing PG sometimes. So that's how that program works. The mortgage insurance is less, the rates are comparable, but it's 100% financing with a lot more years. But that's okay. I do them. They're important. You can do that. VA is my ultimate favorite loan, I must say, because I think things we can do to take care of our better. Right? That's just my personal opinion. I've got a lot in my family and my life. So VA is 100% financing. You must have a certificate of eligibility. You must have had a honorable discharge. Sorry, I was thinking. It looks you had an honorable discharge. I know, I should think about that for a minute. And there is no limit, and they're the most lenient program in the world. I closed a loan for somebody with a 77% income ratio. As I told you, they were 45, they were 77. VA doesn't have a lot of rules. I just saved a loan from somebody who was actually got turned down from USAA because they don't know how to do it. There's a lot of things that be a little loud. So for instance, this man was retiring from the military and he was starting a new job, a civilian job. His civilian job wasn't starting until well after he closed. And so they were telling him that they can't count that income, but you can. You can count the lesser of the income that's coming or his retirement, his pay. So anyway, there's rules that people just they don't know. I love them. I research them. They're my favorite loan. I probably close 25 to 31% of my loans every day. I go look for them. I love them. If anybody can figure out how to get me on the face, so those are the loan products. Does anybody have any questions? No? You sure? We're good? Yes.
On those, on the only four types of loans?
Oh, no, there's a lot of other loans. There's bank saving loans, there's all kinds of loans. State housing and down payment assistance. Did I say NUSC?
No, say that one more time.
NUSC?
Yes.
What do you do for NUSC?
Owners.
Okay. In effective May 1st, I just learned that today, May 1st. They are doing their Homes for Heroes. It's coming out May 1st, and I don't know what they said, but it's going to be, probably be close to like $10,000, and they're going to be giving out payment assistance. So if you're interested in that, we can talk about that.
What about, I work for the Board of Disabilities, they not doing anything?
Yeah, but they do a program. State Housing does have a down payment assistance program for anyone. But the Homes for Heroes is just a special program that they get granted. So the federal government grants this money, and it's allotted for Homes for Heroes, and it's very specific. EMS, nurses, like LPNs are even tough, but we can do them. Teachers, it's just for a select few.
Okay, so the money for,
The regular down payment assistance is for any old person,
you know,
as long as they meet the money, the income, and all that, their requirements.
Okay.
Yeah. Which we can talk about. It's just it's a lot.
oh,
And it's fine, I'm just saying, in this 30 minutes, it's a lot of stuff, but it's not a problem. And we can go for 30 days. Somebody just asked me that, I said, I can do this person state housing. She's like, well, how am I supposed to sell that in this market? I said, well, first of all, you don't have to disclose it to state housing. And second of all, we can get it done in 30 days. You don't have to wait. She's like, you can get it done in 30 days? You're not 15 years. Get pre-approved. Y'all, get pre-approved. It's never too early to get started. It doesn't cost you a dime to get started. Not a dime. So, just call, email, text, ask some questions. We're here to help. And then, of course, just call me. I don't know what's doing. And you want to make, and I'm going to be really honest here, you want to make sure that, they got the Quickie and they got the Rocket Mortgage, they got all those fancy things, right? They got Veteran United. They have all these fancy programs, but the problem is, they're like order takers. They don't do what we do, they don't do what I do, and they don't have a relationship, and they don't know this area, right? So I say we're a team, right? You, Damon, his team, myself, we're all a team, and we've got one goal, and that goal is to get you into a house and make it as painless as possible, right? And so we're here, teammates work together, so we're here to work together to help you out and make sure that you get what you want, or close to what you want, and make sure you feel like you've been taken care of. Because let me tell you something, this is a very, it's scary, right? It's it's a major purchase, and you want to make sure that you're comfortable with people for real. So, if you have any questions, just let me know. Are we good? Any other questions? Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you. So now that you have your finances ready, let me also go back. I want to acknowledge the virtual side
Oh, yeah,
of
sorry.
of the briefing. We do have people on YouTube asking questions as you've seen already. So we're not going through. But now that you have your pre-approval, you went through the finance part, you got your finances ready, now find the real estate agent. Actually, I would rather this be number one. Because we can definitely talk you through all this and help you with it, help you throughout the entire process. But from there, we do have it, at number 5. And I'll say definitely find somebody that you are comfortable working with, somebody that's not gonna tell you exactly what you need to hear, not what you want. But some things are not always, can't just cater to you. You definitely gotta let you know, hey, this may not work for you, or this is what the market is saying, this is the market trend, these are things that are going as far as the market. Our main job, our main focus is to interpret the market and let you know your options. When it comes down to it, you are the final decision maker always. We're gonna go with what you wanna go with, but our job is to give you all your options. So definitely, finding good realtors is very important. Next step is, number 6, start shopping around for a home. Start looking at the area you want to be in as far as work, how far you want to be from work. Go out, look at that area, drive that area at different times as far as traffic wise, definitely want to know traffic as far as morning and afternoon, drive the neighborhoods, different things like that. So start shopping your area and you'll have a good idea of where you want to be already. So when you talk to that real estate agent, say, this area I want to be in, the subdivision I want to be in, and this is the home that I also want also. As far as me, when I sit down with clients, one of the things I like to do is I say write out a list, give you 10 things that you want to see in your home. 10 things that you want to see in your home, and then put a star beside 3 things that you can't go without, that are non-negotiable that you must have in your home. And that's where I like to start from. That helps me get a better idea of what you're looking for. So that's definitely one of the things that I like to do. And after we are shopping for homes, also say keep a rolling 3, a top 3 in your mind, especially in this market, it may go fast.
Sorry.
It may go very fast. I definitely say the pictures are just to bring you in. Also, definitely advise to go out and see it. We put in an offer because that's very important. Pictures, the job for the pictures is just to bring you in. You want to go walk the area, like I said. You already shop the neighborhoods, and then you want to visit at home, shop at home, and make sure it's a fit for you and your family, which you're looking for. So that's one of the key things in that. Making an offer. So I always say there's 3 phases as far as purchasing a home. First phase is you and that seller agreeing to terms as far as price. You're going to agree to a closing date. You're going to agree to earnest money. You're going to agree to 2 different types of inspections. We're going to get to that soon. And you're also going to agree with contingencies, which is contingent on home appraisal, different things like that. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is your inspection period, and phase 3 is the appraisal. So those are the 3 phases for our purchasing home. Once you get through appraisal, you're pretty much home free, and everything is all right and going through. So just remember that as far as making calls. We'll go back to that too. Some of the costs, upfront costs, when you're making an offer, when you purchase a home, you got to think about is the inspection. That's an upfront cost. Some of the other things you might pay for in this market is CL 100, which is the termite inspection. Those are usually, it depends, it varies on the size of the house. Same with the inspection. The inspection varies on the size of the house too. Whether or not you have a crawl space or slab, all that is depending on the price too. Square footage in the house. So I would say inspection usually go from 3 to 450. $300 anyway. Giving you a home inspection. So inspections, when you're paying for it, it's yours, it's your right. And I also advise my clients to be there at the time of the inspection. So you can be there with the inspector, you can see what he's seeing, you can ask him questions. It usually takes them about 2 hours, but they're going to go from the house to top to bottom. They're going to go in the attic, they're going to check installations, they're going to check the air conditioning ducts, they check everything from top to bottom. And it's your inspection, you pay for it. So I would glad to be there and ask questions too. And like I said, see everything. After that gets decision to you, I'll sit down with you, we'll go over it, and we'll talk about the things that we want to negotiate as far as getting prepared. Real quick, there are 2 types of inspections on the offer. You have due diligence. That one is for buyers. That one is for buyers. That one is in the contract because it's for you. If due diligence means you can ask anything that you see in that inspection report to get fixed. And that's the thing. And when it comes to repair procedure is in favor of the seller, because you can only ask for certain things within 7 categories to get, fixed. Which is major stuff, like, electrical, plumbing, structure, I can't remember the other ones. But it's like 7 major categories that the repair has to be in for you to ask that seller to get fixed. So those are the 2 types of inspections. But like I said, due diligence is for you, it's in your favor. But when it comes to an offer, like I said, I keep saying in this market, this is a different type of market, it is a seller's market. Sellers are, pretty much, when I do look at the market reports, right now, sellers are getting probably over 95% of what they want out of the market, because of the type of market, because of those inventory. So they are getting what they want. So it's different ways to form an offer. But we'll definitely get into that. We ain't got too much time, but I just want to go over everything to issue out.
We have a question.
Yes,
Can you ask the seller for a warranty?
yes, you can. You can ask them for a 1-year warranty. That's negotiable. I will always say almost anything within that contract is negotiable. If you want to purchase, the furniture in the home, that's negotiable, but, bless you. Home warranty is, can be purchased by the seller, but I'll go back to what I think, in this market, you really don't want to ask them, because if that seller has, let's say they have 5 offers on the table, all of them are exactly the same, except for this last one that he's asking for a 1-year home warranty, you probably don't be done to decide. Exactly. Next up is the appraisal. Appraisal is something that Kelly would order, and that's the final piece as far as home purchase. When that comes back, let's say your personal home is $250,000, you and the seller agree on 250. The appraisal comes back, and the appraisal says, okay, the home is only worth $230,000. That's when me, you, and the seller, we go back to the negotiating things. Say the appraisal came back low, so what we want to do? The seller needs to come down, or he can say, okay, I'm not coming down, I will go back to the market. So those are the seller options. But I would definitely say, 9 times out of 10, that seller that went through this process, usually about 45 days, somewhere in there, they really don't want to go back to the market and do all this stuff all over, go through an offer. So some will usually come down, or on your side, if you want to pay that difference out of pocket, you can do that too. So those are 2 options if the appraisal comes back lower. And then appraisal, as far as on the lending side, they're only going to loan you that amount because you're down home credit. They're only going to loan you that amount with the home credit. Any questions? Questions? That's the last slide. That is the whole ten-step process. So as you can see, I would definitely say the finances and the preparation are the main portions of the main
Okay, everyone, I hope that you got a lot of good information from the seminar. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and end this broadcast and have them come back with additional questions that you may have. Thank you so much for spending time with us on this home buyer seminar. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comments section and we will have the Holland's home team come back. Thank you and have a great evening.